So last time we got our API endpoint from the NHL website, ran it through Insomnia to see what we would get, and then got a result into Python. Now, you may be asking, how do I get other information? And, well, you could look into how you find it. You can also just go to this helpful GitHub. It is a NHL API documentation GitHub, and it's great. It's useful. It has everything you need. I'll link it in the description. And then we move on from there to our database. So we are looking at the players' points table, as we can see from here, skaters and then points. So we will need to make a new table. If you see over here, you can see all of the tables I've already created. That's okay. That's just because I've already done this, but we're going to make a new one for teaching purposes. So I'm going to do this just through standard SQL. I'm sure in my SQL workbench you can probably do this all just by clicking. You can make a new table, you can give it columns, all of the things. But I'm just going to do it by hand because that's what I'm comfortable with. So we're going to create, So we're going to create table if not exists because we don't want to overwrite anything. Then we'll just call this one points. Now we need to decide what's actually going in here. So we have player, and the player gives us player ID, current team ID, first name, full name, yada, yada, yada. We don't really care about the player's name because we can worry about that somewhere else. See if, for example, we have a players table, we can see that the columns based on player ID gives you all their information. So going back to temp, we can do just the player ID. That's all we probably need for this. And the player ID is an int. And you know what? That might be important to be a primary key. Now, what's a primary key? It's a unique identifier for each row. Now, obviously, player ID isn't going to be the primary key for each row because pretty sure each player has multiple seasons and multiple sets of points as they do their seasons. So we are going to need a primary key that might include player ID, but is not just player ID. And for that, we will do primary key, and we will do player ID, and you know what, we'll do season, and we'll just call this ID as well. Now, we weren't exactly given a season, if I remember correctly. Let's minimize team. Yeah, we were given player, points, and team. So, but if you look in here, we queried which season we're looking at. So, obviously, we do have the season. So it can be season ID, which is a number. And then we can have player ID again, still a number. And we need points because that's the whole point of this. And then we also had team. Might as well add team ID because we have it. So if we do this, it will create our table. And now we can see once we refresh, we've got our point table with season ID, player ID, points, and team ID. I'm pretty sure if you also just say primary key beside season ID and player ID, that will also work. But now we have our database with our table that we can put this information into. What did I just do? Oh, I minimized this. Now that we have this, we need to put things into the database. So how do you put something into a database? Well, we're going to do it manually in SQL first. Then we will do it in Python in the next part. So it's insert. We will do insert ignore because if we have that already, we don't want it again. Into points, our table. Why is it complaining? It's not, no, we have to put a semicolon here. So now we need to put what columns we are inserting to. So season ID, player ID, points, and team ID. And we need also the values we're putting in, because it doesn't know what we're putting in. And for that, we go back over here to our API call that we did. The season ID, we will just go with 2024, 2025. The player ID is right over here. What's next? Points is 121. And team ID is 14. So, set this all up, run it. We have now added it in. But how do we know if it actually did anything? We can do select star from your table. So our table is points. We need a semicolon here again. So now this is select star is select everything from points, which will give us everything. And look, we have our one record we put in here. Now, what if we want to add another one? Now, something you don't actually need is the column headers. These aren't necessary as long as you do it in the correct order. So we've already done Nikita Kucherov, so we can minimize that. There we go. And now we can do this player. So season's still the same, player is different, points is different, and team is different. And now, since we put it in the correct order of season, player ID, points, and team ID, we don't need to specify which order. We can run that again, then we can look at what's in there. Look, now we have both. So this is all well and good, but we don't really care about doing it by hand. That was not the point of this, and it would be really long. It might as well just grab it from the website instead of using an API call. So to make our lives so much easier, we're going to go back to Python. I'm just going to import my libraries again and establish connection with my database. This just uses dbconfig, which I import here. That's just to hide my password, because it is just a local database, but I don't need you seeing that. So, quick thing about this, we're using mysql.connector.connect. You just need the host, username, password, database. Pretty simple. There should be plenty of resources online to help you figure it out if you have any trouble. And then you're just getting a cursor, which is what's doing everything for you. So we're going to go up here. This is technically out of order, but since I've ran it already, doesn't matter. Just doing this for an example. And we can use cursor.execute. And put our code in here. So we are going to do our select star from, from points. That should get everything from points, like we did right here. It's giving me a warning because I'm using it before it's defined. You shouldn't do that, but it's fine. Now we need to use cursor fetch all to get everything it's done. Now we can run this, open it in Data Wrangler. Oh, and look, we have all of our data. So that's still fine, but how do we get more data in there? There's one last piece we need for using it in Python. Now we just need to get our data again from the API. So I'm going to take this, put this here, and that should just give us data. It gives us our top 9. I think that's what we asked for. I suppose not. I suppose we asked for leaders and it gives us 10, so that's okay. And still, this isn't every season though. So what do we do if we want every season? So we just need to go through each season because, well, this is our season. And if we just replace this each time, we can get the leaders for each season. So we've got our string, but we need to add the year each time for it. So we're going to take this whole thing and we can just, we could do the whole line. The whole line will work. But we just, in here, need to be smart and go remove this. And then in here, we're going to do I. Might work better if we do this out of here. It's our year ID, obviously. And we don't want this as a number, so we want it as a string. And then we want the year after that. Or, yeah, that's fine. And then we get the response, and then we can do data equals response dot JSON. We don't need this anymore. Now we get data for each time, but we should put that somewhere. So this will be our data frame. Data frame. Now we're just going to do data frame dot append data. Now we're going to go through every year, create our year ID, get the response from the API, and then add that to our data frame. So if we run this, okay, after some fixing, we have now fixed our request line. It now uses year ID instead of I. Don't know how I missed that. And it needs F here because it's an F string to allow us to insert year ID. Next, we're printing the data as always. We're doing, we're turning the dictionary we get into a data frame of data at data. We need to do the add data part because if we go back here, everything is contained in data. Perfect. Then we can add season. It should probably be season ID. So let's do that now. Then we can append our data frame to our big data frame. Actually, I think it's just a list of data frames. It doesn't matter for this exercise. For this, it's fine. So we run that and we see Jaromir Jagr, Jerome McGinley, Peter Forsberg. We're getting all the players in. And it's going. You can see it missed a spot. That is probably the lockout season where no one played. And now it's done. So we can go to our data. We can go to data frame. And we can see in each of these, it's a data frame. It's formatted weirdly because if it's specifically a data frame, it has to be formatted like this. But that doesn't matter for this. We can see we have all of our information that we needed from the API, and now it's usable. Now it's in Python, and we got it for 25 years worth of data. Last thing we have to look at is a database schema for my database. This is Power BI. It's a very useful tool. I have made a very, very bare bones, not even working dashboard. But on here, I can go to model view and look at my schema. So I have hidden all of the unneeded fields, but if we go to things like my teams table, we can see it has team ID, name, and abbreviation. If we go to, let's say, player season, go to all these things, but that's not really necessary for connecting this. So if we look at it, we have a couple main tables. We have seasons, which is literally just a season ID. It tells it what the last year is, what the label is. It's there just to help me. Teams, we have team ID, which connects to so many things. But then we also have team abbreviation and team name. So if we have team ID of 1, I think that's New Jersey Devils. So that would be in team name, and team abbreviation is just NJD. So we can see that connects to the team ID here, and it's one team ID connects to many team IDs on the roster players. And we can check our schema over here. Oh, look, the team ID goes to the home team ID for our games table. The thing is, it also should go to the away team ID, which I don't think I have connected. That's okay, I'll connect it later. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it does, but it doesn't really. If we look at players, we can see our player ID, and that connects to things like the hitty player on an event. If we go over here, the winning goalie ID. If we go over here, the player ID for roster players, and we can just see that all of these mesh together and are all connected through player ID, through season ID, through team ID, and you can use these connections through your database to create a wonderful dashboard that can actually give you insights, let you drill through to see what player on what team at what season. Then you can go to games and specific events of those games, and you can do so much.